welcome to another episode of the Strange Motion Way podcast. I'm your host, Tim Strange, along with
Carrie Strange.
And then tonight, our lonely buddy, since we lost our turbo, Axel, we didn't put him there. He laid there himself. So tonight we have a very, very good friend. We say that often, but this is a good buddy. He's launched companies which included Von Hot Rods Hangout, which was a rockabilly dance and swing club, Hot Rods Entertainment Production Company. I just took this off of his website, which is event planning, Hot Rod Records, a record label, Hot Rods Custom Clothing, men's apparel line, Hot Rod Girl, women's apparel line, and VHR Pinstripe Couture. That's a big word for me. High-end women's stuff. After 20 years of building his dream, he sold that shop and decided to jump both feet into the world of pinstriping. He has been traveling the world, sharing his passion. He's a really good instructor, but he gave up on me. He realized that I'm not a very good student at pinstriping. He's been a guest at many international car shows, such as Car Crazy with Barry Maguire, My Classic Car with Dennis Gage, Gears with Stacey David, Hot Rod TV, Australia, Sweden, Finland, Japan, Canada, and more. And so we've got a lot to talk about here tonight. Our good friend, Von Hot Rod. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you? We are here. Isn't this great?
We are here. So we're going to start by your hat on. We're going to start by the backdrop behind you. That's a very famous picture that some people post, and it goes around the internet. And I'm always like, that's my buddy's house. This is in your living room. I've seen it firsthand. You have a dragster mounted to the wall in your living room.
I do. It's real. It's not fake. Everybody thinks it's fake. It's not. It's a real one. Like you said, you've seen it, and it's sitting up in here. Now, keep in mind, there's no fuel system. I did take the fuel system out of it because it smells. So put the fuel system back in, and it'll fire right back up.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Von has an amazing house. I've been there. Carrie has not. I hosted his roast birthday party that he has every 5 years. Nobody knows. It's a mystery how old he is. And it was great. All of his family, a lot of friends were there, a lot of industry people. The collection of memorabilia and stuff in his house is, you should just sell tickets and have the Von Museum open to the public. But he looks at your feet. You got to take off your shoes. He is a neat freak. Von is a very neat freak.
That is
true. That is true. That is true. Yep. I'm a germaphobe through and through. When they did this six feet during COVID, that was great. I loved it. That should be awesome.
Okay. So we're going to get the full story of Von Hot Rod. We know a lot of this because we have spent, up until COVID, we did 4 or 5 Caribbean cruises that we went with you and your great wife, Sandy. That's our favorite part. We put up with Von, so we could see Sandy.
Yeah, it's for some reason everybody's drawn to Sandy. Yes.
Yeah. Some of you guys know Sandy. If you've done the Grand National Roaster Show, she does vendor check-in and works the info area where you have to go to get all your stuff, the blonde girl. So a lot of you guys know Sandy and Von from those events. And we did this charity event that we got to go on these cruises for a week.
Right.
We did charity auctions. We did seminars. You and Sandy hosted the sock hop, and we did that 4 or 5 years in a row, and then it kind of quit because of COVID. And man, we had a lot of fun. We've been bicycling with you guys around islands, and we've had a lot of fun with them.
Yes, we did, and I had started doing back wheelies and stuff like that. It's don't get me on a bike because the old trickster BMX comes, and Carrie goes, "You're going to get hurt. You better stop." Because it's always that one more time you do it is when you get hurt and you'll fall.
And of all things, for Carrie to be the one to have the common sense.
Carrie's not normally the voice of reason.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
but I didn't want you to have to go to the hospital in a foreign country either. So.
That would not be good. No.
So let's go back in time. Yeah. We don't have to. We're not. This is going to be hard because I always try to get years out of people. But it's a great mystery on how young Von Hot Rod is. We're going to go back in time and little Von. I know your dad was a hot rod guy and drag race and stuff like that. So you were turned on to this world as a young little Vonnie.
Absolutely. You know, when Dad was a race car driver, he drag raced and sprint card. And when I was born, Mom said, quit racing. Well, you can't really tell a car guy that. So he started building, hot rods, street rods, gassers, and working on Harleys and, shovel heads. And when I was, handing him wrenches and stuff like that, as far back as I can remember, you figure a person can remember bits and pieces of kindergarten. So that puts you about, 5 years old around in there. And so I'm handing him tools and, gaskets and gooping up gaskets or scraping heads. And that's just my normal childhood was growing up, working in the garage. It was an old corrugated metal garage that had two doors that would open up like this. Every weekend, there was some gasser in the garage, guys. That typical picture you see of all the guys with a 50 Merc that's in black and white that was in Life magazine. That's the typical scene I have in my head from my dad, is everybody looking under the hood of these gassers or whatever he was working on at the time. And would ride my tricycle up and down the alleyway because that's where the garage was. And there'd be a shovel head inside there, and there'd be some kind of gasser in there. And these guys are working on it. And then they'd call me to come clean up or crawl underneath or stick my hand up there where nobody else can reach. So that was just me. That was normal. I mean, when Dad had a gasser in the back of the house there was a motor was pulled out. So I climbed through the firewall, up on the axle, up on the windshield, over the back, on top of the roof, and slide down the back window of the trunk. And that was kind of like my slide. I'd play on the little bar. When you take off the front bumper, they'd always put that bar in between the two frame rails. And I was always, just hanging out on that thing, swinging on it, getting in the car and jamming the Hurst shifter or the Indy shifter, whatever was in there at the time, and pretending I was driving. Can't reach the pedals, barely can reach the steering wheel. And it's just, the fun times of playing. I remember Dad had a 61 Chevy 4-wheel drive as his so-called shop truck. And we'd go to A&W Root Beer, and I used to sit in the steering wheel of that truck and kind of rock back and forth. And you thinking someday I'm going to be able to spin all the way around. Yeah, these are strange memories, for a kid growing up around cars. And, most kids are skateboarding or riding bikes and stuff like that. I was just renting on cars as far as I can remember.
Cool. So then your dad got into street cars. So when you got into high school, did you do any like auto program classes in school?
Well, that's the crazy thing is, as I've always was tired of, growing up on, like I said, working on cars on Saturday, I was always bummed on my Saturdays because they were taken up by going to garages, guys' speed shops, guys' garages, junkyards, hunting down parts. There was never that one so-called hot rod shop that you can buy technically everything bumper to bumper. But this guy had this guy had this guy had specialized in that. And I would tell my dad, I go, why doesn't somebody just have one hot rod speed car shop where you can buy everything? And he's all, that would never happen. And I go, kind of like at that time, it was a store called White Front. Some of those guys will remember that. Compared to, it would be like our Target of today, when you could go buy, pet food and groceries and plants and furniture and clothes or whatever, kind of buy everything under one roof. And it was kind of like that. I go, they need to have a store like that. And he's all, it would never happen. So I kind of kept that mentality in my head. I borrowed $5 from Dad. And you got to remember, we were very blue collar. We were just, when I was in school, I had 5 outfits. That's just what it was. It was 5 days a week. 5 outfits is what I'd wear. I'd come home and I'd change to my, play clothes or work shoes, whatever it be.
I heard though, that speaking of your 5 outfits, when I was at this birthday party that I hosted, everybody roasted you.
Yeah.
And I allegedly might have seen pictures, like you had one, maybe this was high school, an all white outfit that you wore to school.
Yeah. Yeah, I got on a kind of a white craze where I was wearing, 501 jeans with white shirts, white scarf, white hat, white shoes. Everything was white. I drove a white car, I had a white house and so on and so forth. So yeah, I got in this white craze for some reason.
So you had to change. I would be totally, I'm like Pigpen off of the Peanuts cartoon. As soon as I walk in the shop, I'm dirty. I would ruin white. Yeah. So you mentioned, what was your first car? You said you were driving a white car. What was your very first car?
My very first car was a VW. And that's what I was leading up to is I borrowed $5 from Dad. So I could put gas in the lawnmower and gas in a gas can. And I pushed it around the neighborhood. And I was, I believe, 13, 14 years old. And going up and down the street, pushing this lawnmower saying, hey, I'll cut your grass for $10. I'll rake leaves for $10. I'll trim your bushes for $10. And I kept doing that and worked. I mean, I do a lot of lawns like that. I mean, $10 is nothing. And paid Dad back, but I had raised enough money to buy this VW that was down the street. So my first car was a VW. I couldn't drive, so Dad had to drive it home. I kept doing the yard work and odd jobs. And by the time I was 16 years old to drive it to high school, I had one of the coolest California VWs in our high school. I mean, the motor was chromed out, transmission was polished, the axles were chromed, the full interior was done, underneath the front of the hood was done, the front end was chrome. I had done everything but paint it because I knew in high school everybody would trash a car. So I did everything but paint the car. And I drove that all through high school. And I still did the lawn service. And when I was in high school, I was a guy putting on the hijackers, the air shocks, the, 8-track stereo systems. That was me. So I kept doing all this odd stuff where the rich guys would buy, they'd have the Mustangs, the Camaros or whatever. And I was the guy putting on the Krager wheels and jacking up the back end and doing all that kind of stuff. So that was me.
We're not saying how old Vaughn is, but
No.
it's a mystery. But he is aging himself when he just said 8-track player. So he just said,
Yeah. So me and my classmates said, no, that's not true. That's not. My wife said, you keep saying that, they're going to believe you. But yeah, that was me. So I didn't have an auto shop class because I thought in my head, I knew everything. So I actually went to my auto shop class in high school because I wanted to put a roll bar in my car. And I said, I need to borrow your pipe bender. And he goes, why do you need to borrow my pipe bender? I said, I want to put a roll bar in my car and I don't have a pipe bender. And he goes, well, what class are you in? I go, I'm not in your class. I know all this stuff. And so we kind of went back and forth and he goes, here's a piece of pipe. Show me what you can do. So I showed him what I can do, made a little S for him. And he's all, why aren't you in my class? And I said, because I know this stuff. And he goes, all right, come after class and let's work on this roll bar. So I actually taught him a bunch of stuff on making this roll bar. And later on, he started making a sand rail. And so I helped him build a sand rail. In turn, he let me have access to everything. So I was putting roll bars in Camaros and Chevelles. I did one in a 55 Chevy, and I did a few in some Mustangs. So all these guys were wanting these roll bars in these cars because I was making them in high school and, charging them money, but using the high school stuff.
That's an awesome teacher, though, that lets you do that because he's seen that you could handle yourself in the shop. But nowadays, they wouldn't do that because, the liability if you're not signed up in the class or getting whatever.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is I didn't come off like a jerk. I just came in there and said, he gave me a chance. I showed him. He kept pointing different machinery and I knew how to use it. And so then in turn, I would help him after school with other students that needed help when you have a lot of after school programs. I'd go in there and help him how to do stuff. He'd take, give me a couple students, go teach him how to do some pipe in or teach him how to weld or whatever the case may be. So I helped him a lot. And it made it easier on him because he could trust me. And that's basically the whole thing. A lot of these kids would, they'd come off like they know everything. In reality, they don't. They're the kids that end up getting their hand chopped off or going blind in an eye by grinding with no glasses on.
So was Vaughn Hot Rod a geek? Were you into sports? Were you a jock?
Believe it or not, I lettered in volleyball.
Yeah, in the Midwest, we didn't have men's volleyball.
Notice how it gets quiet? It got real quiet there for a little bit.
I know, because I was like, volleyball?
Yeah, I never pictured Vaughn to be a jock.
Was it?
Well, you got to understand this. I'm vertically challenged. And when I stand next to Tim, I think I come out a little above his waist. So I'm not that. The net obviously is higher than I am so they trained me to be a roaming setter. So once the ball was set or it was served, I would go to the middle front and that's where I played. And I was just a roaming setter and I would always set everybody up. So I never spiked the ball.
Gary asked, was you in a gym or was you on the beach? Was it beach volleyball?
No, it was high school. So it was in a gym.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it for about a year and a half. And believe it or not, the building of the roll bars and all that took more of my time. So I had to bow out because it was after school. And of course, in my head, I wanted to have this hot rod shop. So I needed to make some cash. And so the roll bars and all this odd stuff would make me money where the volleyball didn't make me any money. So I kind of dropped out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just when you have the mentality of you come from, I don't want to say dirt poor, but when you come from just not having anything and you're making a little money and thinking you're going to own this business, that's the route. My issue is I wanted to be a businessman. I didn't know how to go about doing it. I kind of made everything up as I went. And I figured, well, this is how you do it. And everybody said, buy low, sell high. And I just kept that mentality. And the funny thing is as I did all these businesses and did all this stuff, nobody ever told me no. I mean, I did stuff that people were like, why did you do that? And I said, I just wanted to try it. Nobody ever told me no. So I kept going.
So what kind of student were you?
I was average. I was totally average student because my focus wasn't on the curriculum. If you want to say it that way. But my junior and senior year, I found out that I can manipulate the system, and I literally bought my grades my junior and senior year. So I did nothing my last 2 years. Nothing. I literally paid for my grades. And that's no lie. I
Allegedly,
paid for them.
kids listening to
Yeah,
this, that can't
you
happen.
have to say you have to say allegedly so you don't get in trouble. But the statute of limitations.
Allegedly, I did that. Yes.
Perfect.
So yeah, and when I graduated, and you walk up there, get your diploma, and the principal shakes your hand. And so he shakes my hand, he just looks at me and goes, I have no idea. I have no idea. I said, hey, I got the diploma. It says I gave myself a B, like a B plus average. And it says here, he goes, I have no idea how this happened. You should not be standing here. See ya, and I just walked off. It's kind of fun, kind of sad, but it did hurt me later in life. As business grew, my lack of education hurt the business. And I would have to hire people, as I say, to think for me, to handle percentages and contracts and all kinds of other stuff until I learned it. So I lost a lot of money. If I would have went to college and got a basic business degree, just a basic business degree, I could have grew my shop a lot quicker and a lot better. It was a lack of education that hurt my business. When it went from like a little mom and pop shop when you first start to to a big business. And it started hurting me until I really got a really good
business. Did you get out of high school?
No, as soon as I got out of high school, believe it or not, I went to college. I registered for college. I got in on the volleyball. Everything was going good. And let me tell you, the week I was there was awesome.
That's a common thing on our automotive guests here.
As we're seeing this, as all the kids are going back to school right now.
Stay in school, kids.
Taking their kids to college. Stay longer than a week on Hot Rod.
I'm a hands-on guy. I like to get my hands dirty. I like to create. I like to figure things out. And so I stood up in the middle of class and I said, I'm out of here. This is going to take way too long. This is going to be 4 years of my life that I'll never get back. Do you understand? I want to retire at an early age. And this is in the middle of class. And the instructor goes, you need to sit down. You need an education. You'll never amount to anything. Sit down and just, get your life thing together. And I'm starting to walk out. And he's going, get back here. And I'm like, nope, I need to do something with my life. And this is going to take too long. And as the door is closing, he's yelling, you'll never amount to anything. And of course I yell back, watch me. And off I went.
I had one of those teachers tell me that more than a couple times. The one was junior high that I'd never amount to anything because I had messy handwriting is what he said. Yeah.
It's crazy because you guys know I'm known as an artist, but you put a pen in my hand and have me write something. Oh my gosh. It's like a first grader. It goes uphill, it goes downhill. It's capitals, it's small letters. And yeah, that's why I have an assistant that does all that for me. But you put a brush in my hand and it all changes. But here's something that's really cool is because I dropped out of high school, I dropped out of college. Let's call it, I dropped out. And I got a job that was terrible, but the pay was high. And so I get this job and I'm still doing odd stuff on cars and doing odd jobs and helping people and stuff like that. And a friend of mine came to visit me and he was really, really bummed out. And I asked him what was wrong. He said he needs help. I said, I'll help you. He goes, it's very heavy work. I said, that's all right. I'll help you. You need help. I'll come help you. So he lays floor tile, carpet, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I laid the floor in the very college that I walked out of, on the very hallway, on the very classroom that I walked out of. I did the floor in that room. Okay. So 10 years, maybe 15 years later after all this, I get called up from SEMA to go to that very college and talk about marketing on how to take a product from your head to shelf. So I walked down the very hallway, went into the dean's room, sat with the dean, walked in the very classroom that I walked out of and taught in that class for, 3 weeks on how to do marketing and how to do, merchandising and stuff like that. So that to me was pretty cool. Nobody ever knows that story. Sandy's the only one that knows that. Sandy went with me. And I told her the story after I was all done. I go, this is what this means to me because this is pretty cool. Because if you work hard at something and you stay focused, you can literally do anything. I never thought I'd be an instructor. I never thought I'd teach at a university or high school or college or whatever. And it's totally done full circle. It's come to pass. And it's pretty awesome for me. Somebody that, as I say, lack of education and all this stuff. I mean, I'm very blessed that I was able to do something like that. And that was like a big milestone to me because when I walked in, I can hear that instructor, you'll never amount to anything. And it was pretty cool for me.
That's awesome.
So How long did you do the flooring stuff until you started your business?
It was only, I think I only helped him for like 4 days. It wasn't really, it was just to help him out. So it wasn't long. It was just for 4 days. But I did odd
His
jobs.
mom-
I trimmed trees, swapped motors in cars. I mean, I did the oddest stuff because my focus was I need a capital to open up this business. And I worked at my job that I had for 2.5 years. I had 22 guys under me. I had my own secretary, my own office, a 401k. I had everything everybody ever wants to have in a
And
business.
what was that job?
It was basically, it was making medicine cabinets for like
Okay.
Home Depot and True Value, and they're
Mhm.
still in business today. So I walked to my boss's office and said, I quit. I'm done. He goes, what? He offered me more money. I said, my goal here was to raise a capital of what I needed, and I'm there, and I'm going to open up my own business, and this is what I needed, and I'm out of here. And he didn't want me to go. And he said, well, you're welcome to come back. I'll hold your job for you. If you don't make it, come on back. And I said, I hope you never see me again because that means I failed and I am not about to fail. And I walked out. I shook his hand and walked out. Took all the money I
But
had.
that's your integrity, your work ethic, and all that. That even though you were leaving that guy would welcome you back anytime because you
Yeah.
did what you were supposed to. You did very good work for the guy. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
That's,
component.
I like that. I worked hard at getting, I moved up in the company. I worked hard at it and I saw a need and I met the need and helped the company grow. And they like that, my job was to make them more money because I know they pay me more money and it worked. It really did work. And that came back to like when I had my hot rod shop and I had guys that used to hang around my shop. So anyways, I had a couple cars because I was flipping cars, buying cars, and I was only messing with cars with like, 3,000, maybe $5,000 cars. So I was flipping cars, sold everything I had, kept one, and I went for it. Took everything I had and opened up my first shop at 1,300 square feet. So it's very small, very tight.
And what were you doing in the shop at that time when you first started?
When I first started, it was just basic stuff because I didn't have any real mechanical stuff. I had welders and stuff at home, a small machine shop. But the shop was, let's say I'd find myself, I don't know, 55 Chevy that was a project and I would go ahead and finish it and flip it really quick so I could have some more capital and then do it again. And then customers were coming in and it was like, all I want is my headlights French, done. All I want is a set of lake pipes mounted, done. Because nobody was doing that. Everybody wanted to do full build. And I was the guy that would do the odd stuff that nobody wanted to do. I started selling accessories and the accessory department grew and grew and grew. And everything we sold, I installed. We started doing flamethrower kits, which really got really big in the 90s. And so we just kept growing. Then I rolled the dice and moved the shop to 3,000 square feet. And I remember at that time, the rent was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I'm going to work just to pay a bill. And then Desert Storm hit, during Desert Storm, the war. And I had to lay everybody off because we're disposable income. Everybody has, a second, 3, 4, 5 hot rods. And if they have the extra money, they'll do it. But if they don't, they're not going to do anything with their cars. And so we came almost to a dead stop. I dug in my savings. I sold other cars that I have to keep the business going. And I worked by myself. I remember working in the dark with a battery operated light because I couldn't afford the lights. And I'd see a customer come in and I'd turn on the radio and turn on the lights. So, it looked like the shop was really going. But I did that for a while because I just couldn't afford it. But it was my dream. This is what I wanted to do. I mean, I debated several times whether to close because it wasn't happening out here.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Like peanut butter sandwiches on the road in order to go to the next show.
Oh,
31 years of doing that here, it doesn't really change sometimes.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because, early on in the shop, I remember going to promote my business like at a Good Guys or whatever car show. And I remember going with enough money in my pocket and enough gas to get there, hoping that I'd have sales so I can drive home and pay for the hotel. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that people don't realize. What they see now on social media, they think, oh man, we just plugged into this part. This is how it was. We opened up our doors and we were busy from day one. And that's totally not true. I really, really worked hard at growing my business and making it a destination, a place where these guys could come, check out and see and give tours and all kinds of stuff like that. And, it's not a bragamony. I'm not saying, look at me, look how great it is. I struggled. I really, really did. I had the shop for 20 years. When it hit the 20-year mark, somebody walked in and bought it. So that's why I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure a lot of the kids nowadays when I say kids, because
Mhm.
I'm going to say how old I am. I'm 54. Been running my shop for 31 years. And
Yeah.
even after the first 5 years, we went to shows that we wanted to take the car to promote ourselves. We couldn't
Right.
afford a hotel. We could scrape together some peanut
Yeah.
butter sandwiches and bologna, and we slept in the rigs and just to get there to promote ourselves. And I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'm sure there is some guys out there I'm not familiar with trying to still make their name that do that, but might be camping in a tent in the campground and stuff just to make it to get there. But
Yeah.
I think that generation that I come from and you come from, that struggle, it was a little different because we really wanted to make it.
Yeah, and you have to understand too, this was before social media. There was no click, there was no right swipe. It
So you
was
had to get out there.
you do all you can to get at least one mention in a magazine or one picture or something. I mean, you worked hard at this stuff to, just to get your shop mentioned or a picture of the car that you're working on. And when it came out, you get that magazine in the mail and you're flipping through it really fast and you stop. Oh my gosh, we did it. And it was like, it was such a proud moment. The highlight for
Back
me.
then, you get one picture in the magazine and your phone would start ringing back then.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It was amazing how, because it was such a small industry, but yet it was so giant at the same time. And,
Yeah.
we kind of all grew up together doing the same thing, but we see each other with social media now. We see each other at shows more than we did way back then. And I remember one highlight for me. I mean, this was one of the key moments when I really felt good about myself was, you remember Henry High Rise? Remember in the back of Street Rodder magazine and Rod and Custom magazine, the cartoons? When he did a cartoon of my shop, myself, and one of my cars, I was dumbfounded. It put me over the top. I literally gave him a call because he'd always sneak his phone number in there. I gave him a call and I thanked him and I go, you have no idea what this means to me because I'm a punk kid trying to break into old man's industry. And it took years for the older guys to trust me because they're like, this kid knows nothing. And it took a long time to get that respect. Dick Dean.
Yeah, Dave Bell drew us in Custom Rodder magazine. Nate Model, like late model, was in the Custom Rodder magazine. The other one was in Street Rodder. And Dave Bell drew us 3 different times in the magazine, and I still have them on my shop wall. And I've mentioned this before. One time, Dave, the last year he was at the Grand National Roadster Show, he did a Grand National Roadster Show poster, and I got one and signed, personalized it. Hey, I'm a big fan. And he looked at me and goes, I will offer you, if I want to draw a business card for you. And I never followed up with him to have Dave Bell draw my beer. I so wish I would have. Man, I kick myself all the time. But being in the cartoon was incredible, wasn't it?
Oh, I know. I took that magazine, that page, and I blew it up poster size. I mailed it to him. We became really good friends after. I mailed it to him, and I asked him if he'd autograph it. And he wrote across the top, Von Hot Rod, remember when you're famous and go to Hollywood, I'm the little artist. It was great. I still have it hanging in the museum. And just little stuff like that is super cool. Robert Williams was a good friend of mine. He would hang out at my shop. Dick Dean, Steve Stanford. It's California too. All these guys are locally. But I mean, it's just, I think people miss that part of growing a business. With social media, I think it's kind of ruined it because they want to be at the top level right away. They want to be, without dropping any names, they want to be right up here right away. They don't understand that you got to build trust. It takes years.
And now they can just pay for those friends and followers, and it's a different world.
Well, here's the funny thing is the kids, I hate to say this, but the kids I used to put in trash cans and beat up because they were nerds. I hate to say that, but I'm being honest with you guys.
They must have been really little kids.
They
how did you reach up to the top of the trash can to put somebody in the trash can?
I haven't grown much. Yeah, it was a little trash can. It was the one inside the classroom. But they became my best customers because they once became the CEOs of these companies. They were able to go buy the Camaro, Chevelle, or whatever they wanted at that time that they couldn't get when they were in high school. So we were able to buy the car, and I was able to, do some work on it or whatever the case may be and guide them and stuff like that. So we became really good friends. And I would always, apologize. Do you remember me? And they're like, yeah. And I go, well, I'm sorry. It's high school. So it was really good. It was really good. We had a great relationship. I ran across another guy here locally. There was a show that I just did locally, and he came up and he goes, you don't remember me? And I said, oh no, here it comes. He goes, we went to school together. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He goes, no. Oh, that's pretty cool.
So the shop's going good and big. Yeah. Then eventually you started you obviously, did you move to another location or get more
did.
room next to you? Because you started like having a big showroom. I've seen pictures and
Right.
I used to read about you in the magazine. That's how I knew you. And when I met you, it was cool to meet you
Thank
because
you.
I was always followed your work and everything. And
Oh,
then
thank you.
you had like places for bands and stuff too, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, here's what it is I was in the city of Fontana here in California, and the Orange County crowd and the San Diego crowd would not come because they thought it was too far. It was like 2 hours away from San Diego, a comfortable hour from Anaheim, Costa Mesa. And they wouldn't make the drive. And I said, well, this is hurting me. So I took a Thomason's Guide map because there's no, Google. I opened up a map and I said, I need to be there. And I looked at it and it said Norco, California. And I was like, well, I don't know where that is, but all the freeways meet there. So I went out there and it was a little horse town. Everybody had an acre to 2 acres of land, and that's big for here in California. Everybody had barns, everybody had horses, and I found me an empty building and I moved my shop from Fontana to Norco. In reality, it was 20 minutes away, but it was by all the freeways. If you're going to Vegas from San Diego, you pass right by my shop. You go to LA, you pass right by my shop. So I moved it for location. And literally overnight, when I'd be taking orders, because everything was catalog or magazine, I'd be taking orders. They'd go like, where are you at? I said, I'm in Norco, California. They're like, well, dude, that's right down the street from me. I'm going to head out there. So literally overnight, that made a huge difference. I grabbed the Orange County crowd. I grabbed the Costa Mesa crowd, San Diego crowd. And so I started making the shop like a destination. The showroom was about 4,000 square feet. I had 5 of my cars inside. And I made it like a museum, like a diner / garage. And we played old hot rod movies there. I put cocktail tables in there. You could come in and have lunch. Every weekend, everybody was hanging out at the shop. And I used to do these open houses because my shop was a place to see. It wasn't just catalog mill or stuff. You had to see it. So I started having these open house barbecues, car show, whatever you want to call it. And I'd have a band play outside because my parking lot had a little slope. So the band would play up top. The music would go down. We'd have 200 to 300 cars and 400, 500 people show up, and it was a blast. We had so much fun. Well, it rained one day, and so the band wants it set up. I'm like, all right, I'll move everything in the warehouse in the back, and you just play on a cement floor. I'll open the bay door and you just play and have fun. All right. So open the bay door. We shoved everything aside. He played on the concrete, 3-piece band, rockabilly band. They were playing. And my dad used to do a barbecue. He'd do burgers and dogs and just stuff. It's just a great place to hang out. I guess you'd call it a cars and coffee now. And I went in and checked on the band, and everybody was standing there eating. Some people brought their chairs in, and people were swing dancing. And I thought, this is a great idea. I like this. So come Monday morning, I took everything in the warehouse and got my staff and said, okay, everything needs to go on the showroom floor. We're going to thin out the inventory, and we're going to change this whole back area. So the back area was 5,500 square feet. So it's pretty big. I built a stage. I built 2 restrooms. I built a tiki bar. I had no alcohol, a tiki bar, put in a pool table, pinball machines, made some cocktail tables out of rims and drive shafts. I put a stage that was real tall. If you'd walk up the stage, it'd hit you right here. So wherever you were in the club, you could see the band.
It's 3 foot tall.
What's that?
I said if the stage was 3 foot tall then.
So I debuted it as Hot Rod's Hangout. That's from the Elvis movie Spin Out, called The Hangout. So I dubbed that from there. I had the marquee in the shop with the arrow pointing down. The marquee, you'd go through a turnstile to enter it. You'd have to walk through my front door, through my showroom to get to the club. And of course, that's for marketing reasons. And it was a hit. Every Friday night, there's 300 cars in the parking lot. We'd have live bands play, rock and roll, rockabilly every Friday night. And what it did is it opened up the music crowd that would follow the bands into my hot rod shop, and we carry clothes and stuff like that. And it just ended up growing and growing and growing because it was a whole new genre of people that would come in. Because the hot rod.
Okay, so I have a question. When you're selling all your merch and stuff, this is probably about that time did you ever carry Von Dutch clothing?
I did early on. I did very, very early on because of what happened there. I won't get into it. But when the skate,
there's a great documentary on Hulu about the club. I highly recommend it. It's kind of crazy how all the stuff how it started and how it went and why it's not around really anymore. But yeah.
Right. Well, it's around, but it's not around in our industry. It's around in another industry that
Right.
us as
Yeah.
hot rodders really not want anything to do with it. I'm sorry to say that, but that's where it's at.
Our
But,
BMX girl Lily, she's 21, and her Norwegian boyfriend, he's
oh no.
21 now too, right? Or 22. He wears a not Von. He needs a Von Hot Rod hat. He wears a
Yeah,
Von
that's
Dutch hat, and I'm like, you even know who that is? And he's like, oh
Yeah.
no, I remember it was like, hell, it might have been his mom's hat or something like
Probably.
that she had back in the day, but he wears
Yeah.
it, and I give him a hard time. So I need to buy a Von Hot Rod hat and give him a Von Hot Rod hat.
Yeah, it'd be cool. That'd be cool. I'd like that. Just let me know. Send it right out. But yeah, like I said, early on, I did carry that. I did carry. And it was funny because the shop was divided in half, the showroom. So half of it was hard goods, as in parts, accessories, and wheels, tires, heads. We specialize in nail head, Buick nail heads, Chevy straight six, and flat heads. We didn't do any small block Chevys. And then the other half was all clothing, furniture, memorabilia, stuff like that, movies, posters, stickers, whatever. So we doubled up on the crowds, and it was the craziest thing how everything happened. Now we're kind of jumping all around the board here, but early on, when guys would come see the shop and they'd walk around looking for parts, the wife, girlfriend would just stand there. And that would bother me because as a businessman, that's a potential customer. And so I started talking to them, and come to find out at that time, there was no cool clothes for girls that didn't have naked girls or a pinup or a skull or a devil or a dagger on it. It just nothing fun. So we started Hot Rod Girl. We've owned Hot Rod Girl for 36 years now. And we have it in boutiques and stuff like that. So it's a girl clothing line that we just do girl stuff. And that girl clothing line just took off and grew at the time because, right, then there was nothing there. And then listening to customers again, there was the girls would bring in shoes for, like I'd have a guy flame shoes, high heel shoes, or flame a purse or stuff like that. And then later on in life, that's when I started Pinstripe Couture, which is shoes, purses, jewelry for girls and guys and stuff like that. So that really took, but it's listening to my customers is where everything grew, and I took a chance and did it. So when I opened up this club, some guy walks up to me and goes, hey, do you ever rent this place out? And I never say no. And I said, yes, I do all the time, which I don't. And he goes, well, I want to do a birthday party. And I said, okay, do you want food? He said, yeah. So in my head, I'm thinking, I got to rent tables, chairs. I got to find a caterer. And I'm playing with numbers. I'm making this totally thing up. I'm totally making it up. He says, we're about 200 people. I said, that's not a problem. So we did this banquet. I rented everything. I rented linens and forks and plates and had it catered and did this thing in my club area. Huge success. I literally broke even. I made no money because I put in my head, my bids were off. I made no money. I broke even. I didn't make any profit, but I gained 2 more banquets out of that. So now I've learned. So from there, a customer that attended one of these events asked if I would put on this kind of an event at his shop. And I said, yeah, that's not a problem. I do it all the time, which I don't. So I went to his corporate office. He gave me the address, didn't tell me the name, went to the address, and I'm going, this is Kawasaki Motorcycles. So this is me. This is me all the time. So I walk in, it's an oval shaped table, and there's suit and tie guys all around it. And here I am. And he goes, before we start, I got to let you know there's been some budget cuts. So to do this event or this party, we're going to have to cut back to $250,000. Can you think you can do it? And I thought, it's going to be a struggle, but I think I can do this. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I signed up for. We signed the contract. I walked out in panic mode thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to pull this off? And just made phone calls and did it. I pulled in acts from Vegas. I pulled in the Rat Pack. And I mean, they loved it. It was their 50th anniversary. They loved it. They had a blast with it. So in turn, that got me another gig. So we opened up an event company called Von Hot Rod Entertainment and Production Company, and we do corporate banquets. And that's kind of like the cruise ship that we went on. So we were doing about 1 corporate banquet a month, and these people are spending oodles of money. And of course, it's all car, hot rod, 50s, swing, dance, related, because that's what I specialized in. And my shop having, full of props, we were just taking stuff off the wall and taking it and decorating whatever, and then we take it all down and go back. So totally roll the dice. I learned on the fly, and that's how everything started. The same with the record company. When we were doing live bands in the club, people liked the music because what it was garage bands that have vintage instruments trying to capture that, Bill Haley and the Comets sound, early Elvis sound on older instruments, but it was modern bands from the 90s. And everybody kept asking them, can I get a recording? Can I get a CD? Can I get something? And they're like, we don't have anything. And I thought, well, how hard can this be to make a CD? So I started asking the guys, if I front you the money, can we do a Von Hot Rod CD or a Hot Rod CD or whatever? And they're like, yeah. So I opened up Von Hot Rod Records, which is the record label company, and we were signing bands to my label. And then I was booking these bands on different events. They were going all over, car shows or like the Brown Derby or the Doll Hut. We were booking bands and stuff like that. And it just opened up a whole nother avenue. We had records I hate to say this, but we had CDs in Tower and in Virgin Records. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to walk in there and know that your CD's in there. So we did really good until Napster came out and CD sharing, and that killed the market for us.
I should have came more prepared because I have such a magazine collection. I always remember seeing your ad in like Street Rodder or Rod and Custom or both, and you had this like quarter-page ad or something, and you were like leaning on the fender of your car, and I'm like, look at that guy.
I know.
I need to go there someday, but that was clear back when I never went to California for nothing.
Yeah.
So I never made it to your place back then.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of memories there. I'm sorry?
Carrie?
Was it a full-size car you were leaning on in your ad?
Yes, it was a 47. Oh, gosh. It was a pedal car. Yeah. It was really,
you're about the same size as Vaughn, Carrie.
Yeah, we're about the same height.
Yeah. It was literally just listening to my customers and knowing what they want. Because we were buying and selling and flipping cars, constantly. We were doing any given Saturday, we were selling at least 1 or 2 cars that we had purchased during the week. And what we do is I'd buy something, either a project or existing car, and we'd jump on it and start going through it, motor, trans, brakes, whatever it needed. And then I'd take them to the local shows and they were for sale. And if they didn't sell, then we'd do more to it. Then the price would go up and it would keep going.
Then when you get that name out that, you buy projects that need finished, you don't have to look for them anymore. People just tell you, whether you come by the shop and say, hey, my buddy has this, or you're at the show and they're like, hey, come over and look at this. And so you don't have to.
It got about 6 years in and it started getting easier because everybody started coming in because they knew we were buying cars and selling cars. Yeah, I did the first couple of years, I did builds for other people and it was just a little rough. We started turning into a storage facility and I didn't like that. So I said, I'm going to stop
that. Other people say that too. Yeah.
I'm going to stop that.
I think that's the way to make money. If you don't have parts in the hot rod world, you don't have parts to sell, is just have hot rod project storage.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to make money now.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. You do a club like that.
Yeah. So you ran that for you're running the place in Norco for about 20 years, and you said somebody came in and bought it. And then did you continue on with the entertainment venue after that, or were you just doing showing up and doing the events at somebody else's location?
Yeah, doing events at somebody else's location. The club, I let him take the club because, like I said, music sharing showed up. The internet was just getting started. We had just started a web page. So that's how early on when I sold my shop. And music sharing started going. So I saw the drop in sales for bands, and I hadn't figured out how to make money out of it yet, on digital or whatever. So I just let him take the club. He bought the club. He bought the name and all the inventory in it. I kept all my cars, and I kept the entertainment company. I kept the girl clothing line. I kept the jewelry line. I kept the Von Hot Rod Pinstripe Couture and everything else he took. And it was one of those crazy things because it was the last 5 years of the shop when I could finally relax, and I had a good staff. They were really good guys. My manager was like, look, I don't want to own the shop, but I'll run it like it's mine. And he did really good.
How many guys at your peak? How many employees did you have at the shop?
I kept it small. We were under 10. We would have guys that would come in and work part-time, but mostly it was about 6 full-time. And then other guys would come in on top of that. I had guys that would just work shows. I had guys that would just work weekends for me. Because when we would travel and go to a good guy show or whatever, that's a whole staff of guys. We would do 50 feet of product and merch. So that's back then, that's a lot of staffing. I remember when we used to do shows, we would block our front of our easy ups, totally block it. And when the show would open, we'd turn on the music and drop the curtain, so to speak. And then everybody would rush in and we'd be busy from that day one. I mean, we'd be like 5 people deep all the time. But we were one of the rare ones. We're like kind of like Moon Eyes and SoCal are now, where they literally have everything. And so we were selling Offenhauser heads, Evans. We were selling all kinds of stuff like that. That back then it was mail order, and everybody wanted to touch it and feel it and make sure that's what they wanted. People would come to the shop and literally pull a fender skirt or something off the wall and see if they want it on their car, size it up, see if that's the right hubcap, the right wheel. And by catalogs, you couldn't do that. You'd have to order it in. It's the wrong one and send it back. So everything was hanging on the wall. We had motor kits. You can drop a small block Chevy in a shoebox Ford or a 50 Merc. We had kits to do that. So that's what made it nice is, people could come and touch the items and hold it up to their car and see if that's exactly what they wanted. And we also carried original stuff like 53 Buick side trim, 54 Merc headlight rings, stuff like that people were always looking for. DeSoto grills. We had all that stuff that we'd always go out picking. And we had a few guys like, Mike and Frank that would go out picking for us and they'd call us up and say, hey, I got this. Do you want it? Yes, I'll take it. Bring it. I bought a whole drive-in movie one time for the drive-in speakers. And I bought a whole gas station one time for the gas pumps and some signs. It took me 2 years to get rid of all the people. Yeah, I know. I really liked what I did. The industry has been really good to me. It's really taken good care of me. I mean, there's no nicer people in this world than somebody that owns a car. I don't care who you are. If you're a diehard Mustang guy and you break down, there's going to be a diehard Camaro guy that's going to come right up and help you, push you, give you any part you need, pull the battery out of his car to get your car started, and then they'll go back to a car show and have the rivalry. But all car people that I've ever ran into my whole life, if you want to say it that way, are very nice and they're willing to help. I've got guys that will crawl under a car and fix something. When airbags first came out, we dropped a car that had airbags, and there was guys while I was working under my car that were fixing it for me, and they're just so kind. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I mean, I'm sure you've run across it through your career and guys that you've helped out, and I know I've done the same thing, and I've broken down and tried to help them out or pull an item off the shop and give it to them. We started this program that was pretty fun. We used to have a lot of kids that come in because this is during the mid-'90s when the rockabilly craze and all that swing craze is coming. So everybody was buying cars, and this is when the rat rod craze started, which we were doing customs and nostalgia rods. We didn't call them quite a rat rod. So we had these guys come in these ratty cars that were just falling apart, and they would want all this custom stuff. And I'm all like, dude, let's fix the brakes and the steering first, and then let's get you so you go down the freeway safe. And so I'd work with them and help them out, and they'd get it. And then we started this layaway program. It's like everybody wanted a set of white walls or whatever, and they couldn't afford to walk in and drop a few dollars for some white walls. So we'd kind of put them on a layaway program. I go, just pay what you can. They'd be $5, $10, whatever. And I remember this one guy walking in and going, he'd give me like $10 at a time. It was really funny. And I go, dude, you've paid off 2 tires. You want them? Yeah, I want them. I go, do you want them on the front, the back, or the left side or the right side? He goes, let's put them on the left side. I said, all right. So we put 2. The guy was so ecstatic. It took years, but we literally went from bumper to bumper fixing this car up and him buying stuff. And it was a blast. I mean, he had so much fun. I never forgot that. He never forgot it. He's in the industry and he's an icon. And he always reminds me of, if it wasn't for what we did for him in the shop, that he would never, who knows what he would have got into bad business is what he said. He goes, but you gave me a purpose. My focus was on the car. I wanted to work hard so I can buy more stuff, work hard and buy more stuff. And he goes, I did what, like you said, I sold the car and bought 2 cars and continued it. So that's pretty cool. I like stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So then you're still doing the event stuff. And then when did you start doing all the pinstriping stuff? When did that all come in?
About the last year of the shop. We were flipping cars and I had a striper that would come in on a Saturday, and I'd point, I'd say, okay, that one gets this and this one gets this. And it was a flat fee. I'd pay him 1 flat fee for if it was hood and trunk or the other car was dash and hood. He would still get the same amount of money because it was just something simple. He can come in, make good money. The cars were getting a lot of notoriety, some little TV spots and magazine write-ups and photos and whatever. And so he wanted the notoriety of that he's doing and he's tied. And I said, you're under my umbrella. I go, my upholsterer guy, my brake guy, my steering guy, my motor guy. You're getting a Vaughn Hot Rod build. You're not getting a Bob, Steve, Chuck, John car. You get a Chip Foose build. You buy a Chip Foose build. There's a lot of guys underneath it, but the name is what sells the car. And he had a really bad attitude about that. So I said, I'll tell you what, I paid you your money. Here's your money. Don't ever come back. I'm breaking the contract with you. And so then he really got a bad attitude. And I started getting defensive. And I said, you know what? I'll just do it myself. Forget it. Because I always looked at it like, if I'm hiring somebody to do brake lines or whatever, wiring, I need to know how to do it. So I've always put myself in the mix and done it myself. So that way I know the guy doing it is doing it the way I want it and doing it trustworthy because my name's on the car. So I make sure I know how to do that part of it. So that was on a Saturday, and we parted ways. Come Wednesday at the shop, everybody was out to lunch, and I sold the paint, the one-shot paint in my shop for years. I sold the Mac brushes for years. So I grabbed the brush off the showroom floor and grabbed a can of paint, and I said, I got to figure this out. And on the glass case on my showroom floor, I started practicing. I knew I was done, but I had never done it. So I was just kind of playing with it, trying to get used to, well, how do you hold the brush, and just kind of get familiar with it. A customer walks in and sees what I'm doing and says, dude, I didn't know you knew how to pinstripe. And I said, yeah. He goes, dude, how long you been doing it? And I said, for hours, that was the time. And he goes, would you try my 50 Merc? And I knew the car. And I said, yeah. So we walked outside. I kind of in my head gave him a price. We agreed the price. He loved it. I said, here's the catch. I need it Saturday all day. Drop it off at 8 in the morning and you pick it up at 5 o'clock. And don't you dare come earlier. He wanted a 3-color design on the trunk, a 3-color design on the hood and on the dash. So he brought it in and I literally just started. He wanted a big piece on the trunk. So I did my first color, didn't like it, took it off, did it again, took it off, did it again. I probably did it about 7 times until I really liked it. And then I forced it dry because one shot's 24 hours to the dry time. So I forced it dry and I went to the hood, did the same thing. When I was done with the hood, I came back to the trunk and laid the second color and didn't like it. So I took it off, but the first color was dry. So the first color stayed. So did the second color, same thing, 7 times, got it, went to the, the hood, same thing, back and forth, back and forth. That Merc took me 9 hours to pinstripe with something now I can do in 35 minutes. So 9 hours, first car I ever did. I never told him about that. Maybe he hears a story now, but he'll figure it out. Never told him. And that was the first car I ever did that I signed and I actually got paid for, that I pinstriped. So I picked up a brush on Wednesday and literally striped a car on Saturday. But you got to understand, I'm very picky. I want things a certain way. And that reflected in my first pinstriping job because how many times I did it over and over again. I wanted it to be right, where the guy would look at it and say, wow, this is super cool. Yeah, I like this.
I absolutely still suck at pinstriping. I can call my buddies and if I need pinstriping done.
Right.
So I'm going to jump out during this. When we used to do these Caribbean cruises, somehow Vaughn got permission to bring paint and lacquer thinner or acetone on a cruise ship. I still don't understand how that happened.
Yeah.
But Tim, you got to sit down and take the class. I go, Vaughn, I suck. And about 15 minutes, he's a very good instructor, but he lost faith in me really quick. And he just kind of like, yeah, why don't you get up and give one of the other people your spot at the table here? Because there was other people waiting. Yeah, I can do a lot of stuff on a car, but pinstriping and lettering, unless I'm masking and have a guy type, I suck at it. I get mesmerized when I see people and see you at all the shows and the panel jam people, and just to watch somebody pinstripe, it just blows my mind. Yeah, I'm
still amazed. I mean, there's no way I can't explain it. It's a God-given talent that I can't explain. Because by trade, I'm a welder fabricator by trade. That's what I do. And I fell into pinstriping. I run my pinstriping like a business. Most people are artists trying to figure out how to run a business. I'm a businessman that fell into the pinstriping art. So I run my striping like a business. And I wanted to train myself to, somebody would drive up their car. We discuss what he wants and boom, I would go. I would not, grid it out or draw it on a piece of paper and then translate the car. I wanted to be able to just grab the brush, grab the paint and go and just make it up as I go, so to speak. And I do balance points where I put a little chalk lines to keep it balanced, make sure it's straight. But for the most part, I wanted the wow factor when somebody looked at me striping to understand, yeah, that's what they're paying for. They're paying for that kind of work or that kind of experience, if you want to look at it that way. And it's been really fun. I didn't plan on what I'm doing. I wanted my shop to grow and open up another one somewhere else. Yeah, it totally took a curve. I mean, when I sold the shop, I took a year off and traveled with the kids because, owning your own business 24/7. I traveled with the kids and I let my hair grow long again. I used to have long hair. And a promoter found me and asked me if I'd come to a show, make an appearance. And I'd say, no, I'm kind of out of the industry, kind of semi-retired. And he goes, man, everybody's asking about you. You should need to come back out here. So he convinced me. So I went to the show and I thought, wow, gosh, I just don't want to sit there with my picture and nobody come up. That'd be real embarrassing. So I ran a couple dozen shirts with a design on it. And I go, well, I'll just bring my paints and I'll bring a panel and just kind of goof around because I don't think anybody's going to come. And very huge welcome. It was really nice. It was good for the heart. And people were bringing items for me to pinstripe. And they were taking pictures of me and posting them on MySpace. That's how long ago it was. So
Yeah.
posting pictures of MySpace and saying Von Hot Rod the Pinstriper was here, and social media tagged me as Von Hot Rod the Pinstriper, and that got me one more, and so on and so forth, and that's when it kind of took off. So I kind of just I ran with it, and again I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful that people want their items pinstriped. I was just in Huntsville, Alabama last weekend, and a husband and wife came up and asked me if I'd pinstripe something odd. And I'd say, yeah, as long as it's not a weird body part. They go, well.
He was an hour from our house. He was an
We
hour
were home.
Yeah, we weren't home. I was going to give him a hard time, but yeah, we weren't home.
I did see that you were here, but I was in Detroit, so I didn't reach out.
And I was in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah. And we're all over. We always pass each other at airports.
Right? Yeah.
I was on the People Mover in Dallas one time, and I was checking my flight, and somebody yells at me, and I look up, and it's Chip Foose, and we're both yelling at each other, passing each other by, saying where we're going. So I've done that with all kinds of people. We run across Dennis Gage and Dennis Anderson and stuff like that. But they brought me their urns from their dads. They wanted me to stripe the urns from each of their dads, and the story behind it was the guy was a kid, and his dad was a big fan of mine and said, I want something pinstriped by Von Hot Rod so bad. He just didn't come out. He never met me. So the son brought me his urn so I could pinstripe it because that's what he always wanted. So that was for me, that's an honor that I could do something like that. I mean, to me, that's pretty cool. Got a little emotional back then, but it was really nice. That's the stuff I like. You can't make that stuff up. You can't put a price on something like that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, very cool. So how many events do you think you do on an average year now? Because you are everywhere. I mean, people see you at SEMA. That's kind of your big one that everybody comes to because you're in different people's booths on different days. And how many? And you do a lot of indoor wheel shows. And how many do you think you do?
I do 3 a month. I take one weekend off for myself because the shows are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I fly out on Thursdays and fly home on Monday. So I'm only home Tuesday, Wednesday. So I do around 3 a month. And so I'm gone quite a bit. We've got
you have really good air mile points, don't you?
What's really sad is it's the promoters that that's there. I don't want to get in too much away. So all those miles go away. They stay with me for about 3 years, and then American Airlines starts you out at 0. Sandy used it on. She'll go see her sister. She'll fly out to see her sister in some place. But yeah, I think if I get to the 1 million mile mark, I think they'll hold him. So
yeah.
It's like, every time he's traveling, it's for work. So, you don't want to travel for personal because when you're home, you're off time, you want to stay home.
You want to stay home. Yeah.
Everybody says, what do you do when you're home? And I go, believe it or not, I cut my own grass. I trim my own bushes. They're like, really? I go, yeah, because it makes me feel normal. I get my hands dirty. I get out there and the neighbors are waving at me and they're like, what are you doing?
We don't. We pay somebody to mow our yard. We haven't even owned a lawnmower in 8 years, probably.
I'm probably going to finish out this year, and that'll probably be about it because I'm just too busy. It's getting tall, and
we mow 3.5 acres.
I'm in California. That's a dream of ours to have 3.5 acres.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so you have to mow it.
Yeah,
these guys come in with their big 0 turns and their weed eaters and crew of 2 or 3 guys, and they're gone in an hour and a half. So yeah,
I love that. Everywhere I travel, I always look at property out where I'm at, but you just can't beat this weather. We have 360 days of sunshine, 6 days of rain. We pay high taxes and high gas, but man, you can't beat this weather. We're cruising every day of the week. You can see hot rods driving all over the place, going to lunch, going to movies. So I can't give up this weather. So I kind of pay
Yeah,
for it out
Tennessee
here.
is a lot better weather than when I lived in Illinois because all the snow on the grounds for years.
Yeah.
We don't get if we get snow here, it doesn't last like overnight hardly at all in Tennessee. And
Yeah.
so if you got air conditioning and you got a heater, you can drive your hot rod almost 340 days of the year. I like visiting where you are, but I don't think I could live there. I really don't.
Yeah, I know. It's not for everybody.
Many
Ron.
people out where you're at isn't that bad because you're.
No.
I'm
Yeah,
just going to say, but not very far drive. You're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. It's nice. It's perfectly set up that way for me. That's where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I looked in this area for 3.5 years down a couple streets where I wanted to be. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. And like you say, you're a little closer to an airport than we are. We're about 50 minutes, 50 miles to the airport, but that airport flies in and out every day. That's why we can get to all the stuff that we need to go to.
Yep. Yeah. That's the thing is every time I look somewhere, I have to be close to an airport. And my realtor will send me some property out of state or whatever. And I get the address and I call up the local Domino's and see if they'll deliver. And if they say no, then I say it's too far. And he goes, it's right down the street. I said, nope, can't get a pizza. Can't get it.
They got to have Domino's and then they got to have a Chili's.
You got to have a Chili's. That's one thing.
That's right.
That's another thing Vaughn and Sandy did on the cruise. They brought Chili's, chips, and salsa.
Okay.
So whenever we're at Chili's having chips and salsa, we always send Vaughn a picture. And it's like, hey,
Yeah.
we're thinking of you. So
What's funny about that is I shipped chips and salsa from Chili's to the cruise ship. And on the last day when I'd bring it out, we'd have that like after staff meeting or what do you want to call it? And we'd all have chips and salsa and they'd be all gobbled up. It was so much fun.
yeah.
It was fun.
There was a lot of times we didn't share with the rest of the people. It was just us, you guys, and
Yeah.
Sarah.
and
Rob.
and Rob. Yeah, Sarah and Rob. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Those were a lot of fun times.
No, but yeah, Julie and Rob is what I'm
Julie
saying.
and Rob.
Remember when
Yeah.
she said Sarah? She called herself Sarah when we were going to take the excursion because she was
What's
being
your name?
secret.
My name's Sarah.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening, what this is, we did a car show on a cruise ship. And you're thinking, well, how'd you get the cars? And it's a virtual car show. You bring pictures of your cars and we give awards away for, first, second, or third and stuff like that. But the idea is we have seminars, we have how-tos. We did a model contest. Remember we did a model building contest where we blindfolded the husbands or the guys and the wives had to tell the husbands how to put a snap together a 55 Chevy model. And that was
We
hilarious.
almost got a divorce that day.
Oh yeah, that was the funniest thing I'd ever
Played
seen.
lots of games.
It was so much fun, and
The
we
boat
had
game was the funnest one.
because you would do a seminar every year. I would do a seminar. Then we'd invite other guests. So Rob Ida and his family came one time.
Yeah.
We had I forget who else.
A couple
We
of
were
years.
supposed to do face, and they canceled down.
Right, that's when COVID hit.
Yeah. It was a good time, and then a lot of companies donated. We did silent auctions. We raised money for America's vet dogs, and every year we raised enough to name a dog. So there's a Tucker out there, there's a Shelby out there, there's a Cruiser out there.
I pushed for Vaughn. Remember, I pushed for Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a girl dog, we can call it Vanessa or Vonette, but it didn't work. Didn't go for it.
And it was one of the promoters that put the show on for us.
Yeah.
One of the cruise ladies. One of the dogs wasn't smart enough. He was too friendly to be trained. So they adopted Cruiser or Shelby or one of them. They
took it. That's right. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're going to try and do that again. We've been trying to get that going again. Prices have really gone up. So
yeah.
We'll keep you posted on that. Just right now, I can't get a good price out of it right now. So we're still trying.
Do you want to ask him your 2 questions?
Yes. So I have to say, this is kind of a sad show because he has never been here the entire time.
Usually our other cat comes and goes that we just lost 2 weeks ago. Turbo passed away. And it's weird you're not really an animal person, but sometimes our animals like certain people's voices. And obviously he likes your voice, Vaughn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never played
sorry
it.
about that. I don't know what it is about animals to me, but that's usually what happens. The dog will come to me. If it's a yapping dog or barking dog, they'll come up to me and sit by me and be quiet. And the owners always say, wow, my dog never does that. He usually jumps on somebody. And I said, well, maybe it's my bad juju or whatever. I don't know.
So I have a 2-part question for you.
Yeah.
Part
Okay.
one is what is your favorite show that you like to go to? And then the second one is what is, and this is probably going to be really hard for you, but what is one,
This is going to be the hardest of any of our guests to
Yeah.
answer this
what
question.
is one show that you've never been to that you'd like to attend?
It's the show that I'd like to attend is Triple Crown. I've been wanting to go to Triple Crown. I hear so much about that, and I just have not been able to get that dialed in yet. So Triple Crown is something I want to go to. That seems something right up my alley. And before that, it was Goodwood. I want to go to Goodwood. That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite events. I'm always thinking, okay, I got to figure this out how I can get to Goodwood because it's a week long, and that's a huge expense. Of
Yeah.
course,
Have you ever done the Moon Eye show in Japan?
Yes, I've done that 12 times.
Okay, I figured you have. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the majority of our answers. People, if they have not been, and we always say we're going to tag along with Dave Shutton sometime. So, what is your favorite event that you get to go to, or have only maybe done once, and it's like, oh man, that one's the best one I ever think I did?
That's a tough call, and the reason being is because every show is so different. Every city, state is so different. Clientels are different. That's a very hard answer because let's go out of the country.
He's
If I
being
go
political. He doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
to Australia, let's say, or Sweden or something like that. If I go to Australia, they are so typecast or so into what we do. Everybody drives American in this crowd. I'm not going to say everybody, but in the motorsports industry or the auto industry, everybody drives American cars, listen to American music, wear American clothes, and fly American flags. So you feel very honored that you're in their country, feeling more American than you do at home. So those are really fun. If I can encourage anybody that they want to do a bucket list, it would be to do a show out of the country because your whole mindset and everything changes when you come back because you're very proud to be an American. You're very proud that we have created such an iconic industry that everybody wants to be like us, if that makes any sense. As for a show here in the States,
some of us here take that for granted.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, totally, absolutely. And these guys are driving. They'll show up in like a Chrysler giant 4-door. There'll be 12 guys inside of it just having a blast. They're dragging when they go down of a driveway because it's so low with all these guys in it, and they're having so much fun. And it's literally fun. It's not nobody's passed out, nobody's yelling obscenities. They are having good American, old-fashioned American graffiti fun, if I can say it that way. It's so much fun to just watch these guys. They're like, come into the car with us. And I'm like, no, I just enjoy standing in the middle of the street and watching you guys. It's a lot of fun. It truly is. But a show that is my favorite, that's tough because you can say with Grand National, there's nothing that tops that. That's the Academy Awards of the hot rod industry. Everything is there. Everybody is there. It's in California, and it is just such a blast of the stuff that you see there. But then you go hit like a mom and pop show, like when I was in Huntsville, Alabama, and you got guys that are coming in and showing up with a VW bus that's turned on its side, like it rolled over, and he's driving in the thing. And it's like, thinks of this stuff, car people think of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see what people, how they're being creative and what they're doing. And what I like is this younger industry. When COVID hit, everything changed after COVID. Shows now have opened up to everything. They say American hot rods and, muscle cars or whatever. And I like that because they're bringing in this younger generation that are having cars. I'm sorry that they bought, but that's okay. They're the Camaros and Mustangs of our time. And they're bringing these cars in and they're having fun. Finally, the old guy gets to talk to him because he's got something in common. Oh, I used to have a Camaro, but mine was a 69. Oh, yeah. And then you can see him talking and bonding. Believe it or not, I did an EV show out here in California. It was all EVs. A friend of mine wanted me to come, and I said, I'd go. He goes, I know it's not your crowd, but I just want you there striping. I said, okay. So I did a little 10 by 10 out there. And I striped my first Tesla at this show. So the guy was a hot rod guy. He ended up with his Tesla. And he asked me if I'd stripe it. I said, sure. So he shows up with his Tesla. It's lowered. It's got a splitter. It's got a roll bar in it. And it's got a wing on the back. So obviously the car's, technically useless because of what he's got on it. But it's super cool. You can see the hot rod influence of what he's done to this car. So he had me stripe it. And you would think I would have invented, a round tire or something. Because I started striping the hood of this thing. And I was probably 20 people deep of 100 cell phones facing me. And when I looked up, I was like, whoa. And they're like, you mean that's hand done? That's not a sticker? They had never seen that.
Yeah.
Now I get to have fun with them. Now I'm talking and I'm showing them how it's done. And because to them, everything is vinyl. Just wrap it, just put a vinyl sticker on it, and we're done. So I got to do a bunch of stuff on it, and that opened up a whole new avenue for me of striping EVs, and super cool. And that benefits all of it. That doesn't just benefit me, it benefits
Mhm.
stripers all across the country. And that's what I like about this, because when I go to show, I had one striper literally get mad at me. He came up to me and he didn't like how I was pimping out pinstriping and all this. And I go, dude, just stand right here. Stand by me for just 5 minutes and watch what happens. First person that walks up and says, oh, so you're the local striper. I said, no, I'm from California. I'm not from here. Oh, man, I'm looking for a local striper. There's nobody in my city pinstriping. And I go, well, good thing you asked. Here's your local striper. So I pass him over to that guy. Second guy, the exact same thing. And the idea is I'm here to come to these shows to cause a buzz about the motorsports industry, about the hot rod industry and what it is and what it's become. Try and teach the younger generation, show them what hand pinstriping is all about, because everything is computer generated now or vinyl sticker. And the guy apologized to me and goes, I didn't realize. I go, yes, all it is stand here with a stack of cards. I can make you busy as can be.
Yeah, because next month you're someplace other to some other show, and then these people need something. So then they start asking around. Oh, I need a pinstriper, and it's like I need my local guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm there just to bring a pinstriping to awareness to that local area, and then I'm gone. People bring me items and stuff. Striping, and I'm always looking down at a show. So once in a while, I look up and I saw this giant square thing rock by, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird, and I just kept working. And what it was is the guys were walking in the next aisle, bringing me the hood of their car that they had taken off in the parking lot. So I striped the hood and I joked with them and I go, what are you going to do? Put it back and bring the trunk? They said, yep, we'll be right back. And so they went back with the hood on, took the trunk off and brought it in. So
Awesome.
stuff like that.
And you're like, bro, I could have walked out there.
Well, I can't. I have to do striping inside doors. I can't go outside the door. So the idea is to have a draw for people to come to the show.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
yeah, it's super cool. I've done gas tanks with vice grips on the gas line with gas in it that they rode to the show, and taken the tanks off the bike and brought them in. I'm just amazed. The industry's just, there's plenty of room for all of us. When I first started doing striping, there was maybe five guys locally that did it. Now there's probably 500 guys locally that do it. And I think it's awesome. The internet has opened it up to all over the place. I can't teach enough people. The problem is everybody wants to do it at that level now because they see what's on social media. They don't understand that it takes time. You just don't pick up a brush and just do it. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, keep practicing.
We have a guy. I think he took a class from you. It's Dave. I say his name wrong. Dave Reiner. Copper State Customs on Instagram. I think that's some community. But he took a pinstriping class. And I thought it was from you or seen you someplace. And now he posts because he's got these little stencils on a piece of glass, and he stripes every night before he leaves. He works on cars during the day, but then he stripes, cleans it off next day. He does 10 minutes every night before he leaves, and he's getting a lot better and a lot quicker. Yeah.
Discipline. That's good.
Yeah.
When I went to Japan for the first time, there was literally 2 pinstripers out there that came to the show. And I left my paints, I left my brushes. I showed them, my trade secrets, so to speak, and helped them and guide them. I come back the next year, there was like 10. I come back the next year, there's like 20. But they're really good. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did you guys get so good? And their answer was they work 15-hour days, but then they go pinstripe for 5 hours every day. Their discipline is they're very disciplined, and that's what they wanted to do, and that's what they come. And they've taken that Japanese kanji style and added it to pinstriping, and now these guys are just amazing at what they're doing. I mean, pinstriping in Japan is it's way past what we do here.
So another thing, I have a question because I have one on my wall in the spare bedroom. You had it's 41, right? Your 41 custom Ford is a Hot Wheels car.
Yes, it is. It's a 41 Ford. It's got a 12-inch top with a 7-inch body channel on a 50 Merc flathead, full race flathead on a LaSalle Trans. And I signed a contract with Mattel in '97 to make it a Hot Wheel in '98. And that was pretty iconic because I'm sure as a kid when you were playing with Hot Wheels, I mean, they were the coolest thing. They had that chrome paint that we loved, and
I
it was just
still
so much
do.
fun. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
exactly.
close once when we did the Royal Purple panel truck. Royal Purple sponsors our podcast, but the people, I would get all the right person to talk to at Hot Wheels, and then the ball would get dropped, so it never got to be a Hot Wheels car. I did that 3 times before I finally gave up. So
Yeah, it was an honor to do it, and they gave me the resin mold. I have the resin mold in the glass case here,
I've seen
and
it. It's really cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, that's probably one of the humble things in my life is that because I played with them as a kid, and I never thought. And there's some iconic things that I don't know if it happens to you, but happens to me in life. You know, I grew up with the Munsters and, you know, the Hot Rod Herman and all this stuff. And then to drive the Munster coach and to pinstripe Eddie Munster's little go-kart, you know, stuff like that is just really, really awesome for me. Really such a blessing. These guys that I watched on TV are you know, kind of idolized. I'm having dinner with them or having lunch. And, you know, I never want to take for granted the platform that God has given me. I never want to waste it. I always want to make sure that I can share it and help others. And because common sense, I can't do this forever. You know, there's going to be a time when, you know, it's going to be over.
He admits what his age is.
Yeah.
Not saying it's there yet, but
Yeah.
there's going to be.
And there's a Von Hot Rod behind me that's coming up. And if I can help him in any way and get him going in the right direction.
I thought he was going to say Sandy's pregnant. I thought that's what this was coming to. Is Sandy pregnant?
No.
She's going to slap me the next time I see her. She's going to slap me.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe that. Okay, we'll just edit that part out.
I'm going to see if Sandy actually listens to this. And she's like, why do we want to listen to you 3 talk? So while we're talking about Sandy, we said runs the little room with the ladies at the Grand National Roadster Show. She's flown out this year and helped Carrie on the Hot Rod Power Tour.
Correct.
And
LS Fest.
LS Fest. So Sandy is very good at working events, and it's hard to get people like that. So Sandy, Carrie did mention on the Power Tour, because they're such long days, that as soon as they got in the RV to drive, Sandy was out like a light. As soon as she hit, she's like, hit the air conditioning. She was like, she was out. So.
Yes. That's her. That's awesome. She works hard. She gives 100%, going 100 miles an hour. And then when she sits down, she takes advantage of the rest time.
If Carrie wasn't driving, she would have been asleep too.
Yeah.
No, because Suzanne's driving and nobody falls asleep when Suzanne's driving.
And we both love to work. We love events. We love working 15-hour days. Yeah. When I'm at Grand National, I'm there Monday to Sunday night, 2 a.m. So I'm there a week at Grand National. We got the Grand National Truck Show coming up, and actually we just finalized it today. I'm there Tuesday to late Saturday night, about 2 a.m. Saturday night. And it's just, that's what we love. And they're sun up, you know, till the last one out of the building. But that's what we love to do. You know, I'm very, very blessed. I can't. Thank you.
The last one to leave.
Yeah.
So
I will say, I've got Vaughn to say that he loves me maybe once.
I got Sandy to say poop on Power Tour.
Yeah, they've corrupted Sandy. I'm a hugger. Vaughn is not a hugger. Vaughn's not a hugger.
He's a germaphobe.
Because he's a germaphobe. 2 hugs, maybe 3 hugs from him.
Yeah, but
the first time I ever got Vaughn to say that he loved me, it was from a distance as he was walking away, and he won't admit it. He'll say it was a ventriloquist or whatever.
It was somebody else.
So when you were doing, man, you were so busy that one year when SEMA Ignited was right across the street when it wasn't down the road.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the amount of stuff you had.
Yes.
I don't know, 8 people working, and man, you were slinging T-shirts and jewelry, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have dinner. You have fun. So I got out of there before he put me to work, but he knows I can't spend money.
Yeah. That was
these events. It's amazing the amount of people that line up. The Grand National Roadster Show, you know, it's kind of the crowd that sees you every year, but people fly all over, and you're very busy there too. All the places I've seen you at, you're busy at selling everything.
I'm very blessed. I'm still honored that somebody, you know, would like to wear my name on their back. I'm very honored, and I don't want to mess that up. I want to represent this industry as best I can, as honest as I can, and continue to do that. I don't want to be the guy that throws the wrench or the guy that gets mad at somebody.
That's why I turned down the TV show offers. Don't come as often because a lot of the networks have killed their TV stuff. But when I ended my search and restore show after 2 years, I turned down probably a dozen shows that were pitched to me because they wanted a drama show, and not everybody thinks like we do, Vaughn, that they'll just take it and cash in. And maybe I should have, and maybe I could have retired by now. But we work hard to be a part of this industry, and we work hard to make it positive. And I didn't want to do anything, some stupid drama show.
Right.
And that's why I didn't do some of those.
I mean, when I started doing striping and I'd go to a guy's house to stripe a car, they would typecast all stripers the same, which was they'd always have, you guys know that I don't drink, so they'd always have a case of beer or wine or something like that for me, because that was the norm. And that's not putting a bad name on stripers. That just was the norm. And I come in and,
same with body and paint guys. It's like
Yeah.
my painter, the guy who taught me how to paint good when I worked at a place in high school, he goes, you'll probably never be a good painter because you're not an alcoholic. He'd get drunk at the bar and come back and lay down his bed. He had to be hammered drunk to paint. So,
yeah, it's just not me. It's not me. I mean, and so I had Ed Roth, because I'm one of the cleanest stripers. You hardly ever see any paint on me. And Ed Roth hated that. He goes, you need to get paint on you. And every time I'd see him, he'd have paint on his hands and he'd try and touch me and get paint on my shirt every single time. I'd run. And
so me and Vaughn, when I hosted his party, we got up and talked to people. And we say this, and it's true. Like, we exaggerated to that part. There's like, we said we've saved half of the hot rod industry before, but there's many times that both me and him, because people know neither one of us drink, no drugs or nothing. And I'll be at the SEMA show and I'll get a text from somebody and it's like, the tram won't come. Now we don't get it as much now when there's Ubers and stuff like that. But I could name off 20 people that I have helped get to their rooms at the SEMA show, and you've done the same. It's like we're here for the industry, so if somebody gets drunk, they know to call Tim and Carrie because we're not drinking, and we can get them back to their hotel. So someday in my book that I'm going to write, I'm going to throw some of these guys underneath the bus of some of the hilarious stories of getting my drunk friends back to their hotels. Allegedly.
Oh, that's right. We got to keep it legal. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Funny.
Awesome.
Well, you guys have covered everything. Gosh, that's amazing. I love
great.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we knew
Thank
the
you.
story was good. We could talk to Vaughn for hours and not get it all. So I think we'll wrap it up. Someday we'll do a part 2 with Vaughn. And
That'd be
I was
great.
hoping Sandy would at least walk through like, hey guys, but you tell her
That'd
she
be
was
fine.
talked about. So then she has to listen to the podcast to see
Yeah.
what we said about her.
So me and Sandy, we were asked at a show, Barry and Karen were the Grand Marshal at a car show. And they asked us to do a video of, thanking Barry or something with Barry, just very short, right? And so because of who I am, I can't do things normal. And so I said, I would like to thank Larry McGuire. And then Sandy pops her head in right here and says, that's Barry McGuire. And then she goes, in the fire marshal. She pops in again. That's Grand Marshal. It was the funniest thing ever. We had so much fun. Because you could see her little blonde head and her big smile just right here in front of the camera. It was great. People got a kick out of it. It was so much fun.
That's
So
awesome.
one of my other favorite stories that I told Carrie, she didn't think it was funny as I did because I wasn't there, but your house is amazing. It's a
Thank you.
museum everywhere. And you're in Meat Creek and you know where everything is, allegedly. And the story I got, almost every year, one of your family members always steals something out of one of the cases and wrap it up and give you back to Christmas, and you have missed it, that it was misplaced. It could be a little, like a little thimble or something. It's like, oh, I think I already have one of these. And they're always like, do you? So, I love that
My daughter does that. She steals something, and I don't even know when she takes it. That's the funny thing, because I know where everything's at. But there's so much stuff here that if one item is moved and then you push the stuff around so there's not a hole there, I literally miss it. And she's got me for years on doing this stuff.
I think she missed her illegal calling in life. That she could have been a great thief. I think but
my kids are
I know you don't like talking about your family, but when I got to meet all your family at your birthday party, they're all incredible. They're all hilarious because they all everybody harassed you.
Yeah.
Everybody showed up with an Elvis wig on that night. Yeah. So it was. I had the funnest the funnest at any party I think I've ever been at, and
Oh,
he knows he's very clean, and
Yeah.
pure,
Proper.
proper, and sometimes everybody knows I'm not always. I censor myself on the microphone, and you're like, my family's going to be here, my dad's going to be here, and your dad was laughing harder than anybody
I think
when they
so.
were
Yeah.
you, and he just
Yeah.
got clean, like, and it was like my stomach still hurts from the laughter that night. It was so much. And Carrie had to be
Yeah.
at SEMA already because
Yes.
we're setting up for SEMA. So hopefully the next
Yeah.
party, Carrie can ditch out, at least fly in for the party and back out. So it was
Exactly. Because you never know where they're going to be because they're always somewhere different, and they just pop up, and we kind of have to keep it on down low because everybody likes to crash them. But every year, speaking of SEMA, this year, Thursday is my birthday at SEMA because every year my birthday's at SEMA week.
Okay.
Yeah, so Thursday's my
Good
birthday.
to know.
Yeah,
Good to
I
know.
think Facebook says I'm 114. I think that's what Facebook says.
That's a good number.
That's a great number. You
So
look
what
really
are
good,
you
Carrie.
like? A lot of people know I don't like clowns. Is there anything that you don't like?
I don't like. Don't like. What don't I
Like, do
like?
you like
Yes,
people
yes.
in banana costumes? Do they freak you
You ready?
out?
You ready? I don't
Uh,
like anything green. I don't eat salads, vegetables, peas.
I knew that about you.
Yep. Don't
Yeah,
like
I
green.
knew that too.
Yeah.
I almost did. So Vaughn has this thing. So we got to mess with our guests always. When he gets
Yeah.
done eating, we've ate a lot of meals with him. Whether he has ate it all or there's
Yeah.
food left, he opens his napkin and covers his whole plate. So
I
all
do.
night long, everybody at the birthday party was doing that.
Yeah.
He goes, it's polite so people don't have to look at your leftover food, and that
Right.
tells the waiter and waitress that you're done with your
Exactly.
plate. It does work because I've done it, I've covered it, and then
Yeah.
boom, it's gone.
The funniest one was when I think it was my brother-in-law was talking about my food habits, and he had that plate and he had a napkin, and he did, like he blessed it that it was dead. I don't know what exactly
Yeah.
he did, and he covered it up and said some words. It was really funny. These birthday parties that you're talking about, we'll kind of let a little in on your guess, is it's a roast. And what it is I invite people from my early years, mom and dad, to all the way what I'm doing now in the industry, Tim Strange. So, and everybody in between. So the early people don't really know what I'm doing now, and the people now don't know where I came from. And so
Yeah.
everybody's got hidden secrets and jokes all about me. And it's the one and only time that you can say anything about me, open mic, but you just can't do any innuendos or foul language. And it is so much fun. And they rip me apart. It's a blast. And of course, when the event's over, I have that Men in Black little flashlight. And
Yeah.
I flash everybody, and everybody forgets.
Erases. I don't really remember when I seen that night. He erased everything. So.
Yeah, I do. It's a lot of fun, and it's the one and
It was
only
an honor
time.
when you brought me out for that. I had so much fun. So hope you keep me in mind for the next one, wherever it's going to be. So it hasn't been 5 years yet, has it?
Oh no, it hasn't.
Right?
It's always a SEMA. It's always at SEMA week. So we usually do it the weekend before. And what we did is we had people fly into California instead of Vegas. And then we did the event, and then the next day everybody took off and went to Vegas for SEMA.
Because some of our other friends, I was like, "You going to Vaughn's party?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I told them where it was, and they're like, "Well, we're already going to be in Vegas." And I'm like, "Well, so am I, but I'm going to fly there and fly back." Or I flew with Carrie to Vegas and got on and flew.
Yeah.
It's just a little puddle jump next.
I try to tell everybody fly to California first, do the event, then go to Vegas. Some people just didn't read the fine print.
So you do it every 5 years, right? The
Pretty
big
much,
party.
yeah. Yeah, the big
And
ones.
it's only been 2, right?
Okay.
I think it's been 2, maybe.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, because I flew in a day early, and I went to Dave Shep. I went to Galpin. I went to Derelicts. I went to the Lions Museum. I took an extra day and did all that. And I'm trying to remember.
You did all that the day of the party because you had to fly out the next morning.
I flew in the day before and went to the Peterson and Troy Ladd's place. And the next day, I got up early. And if Southern California people on the map, they're like, "There's no way you did that." Yeah. I didn't eat lunch. Derelict started at 5:30 in the morning, and I went to the Lions Museum. I went to the Valley Relics Museum. I went to Dave Shep's, to Galpin and Van Nuys. I did something else, and then I went clear up to, this is the one nobody believes, I went to Simi Valley to see Steve Show. And I kept looking at the GPS, and GPS is like, okay, do I have time to go to Simi Valley? And then finally I was there, and I was at Steve's maybe 20 minutes, and he goes, "You should go now," because he says that it's. And I drove. If the traffic was moving, allegedly I was driving 90 mile an hour. When I got gas, I got an energy drink and beef jerky. I didn't even stop for lunch. If I would have had anybody with me, it would have slowed me down just enough that I wouldn't have been able to go there. I went to the hotel, I showered, I changed my clothes, and I walked in. I parked in front of your house, the place where the birthday party was, right on time when I needed to be there. So yeah, it was amazing. I was like Griswolds. I was just like, okay, on to the next place. Okay, on to the next place.
It's great because it's Southern California and you can do that. You can hit all these places if you got a destination because everybody's here and it's a blast. I know people put the state down and stuff like that, but if you stay away from key points, I won't mention, stay away from certain areas, it's pretty normal everywhere else. And like I always say, we're Bible-thumping, American flag bearing and gun bearing Americans. So, and
like we have a good friend that lives in Vegas. He never goes to the Strip, ever. Yeah. It was like, by Nashville. We hardly ever go downtown Nashville. You avoid it. Just live.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. But I'm glad you came. I'm glad you got to experience it because you can't explain it. You can't explain what this place is or what the birthday parties are because it doesn't. It doesn't work.
And I got to see the race car. My wife won't let me put a race car. I want a motorcycle in our living room. And she won't.
Oh, dude.
No, but we can put a motorcycle in the living room.
Corky Coker has 2 vintage race motorcycles in his house. Got one down below since you walk in the front door, and then he's got one up top on the staircase when you get to the little landing up there. Beautiful.
I've heard that, other than like Jesse James having them in his house, but Rob Ida had this cool like cafe racer in his house before he moved out of that house now. And it's like, that is cool. It'll probably be a bicycle because that's what I could afford. I would, my Harley used to sit in my master bedroom. And then of course I moved it out when Sandy came along. I always had my Harley in there. Yeah. And it's a bad habit of mine. So you have to look at it like it's art for me. It's just not a piece of steel and chrome. To me, it's art. Everybody's got that signature piece in their house, whether they're into, sailing or nauticals or pirates or whatever. Mine just happens to be car stuff. And sitting over there in my picture window is a blower with 2 4s on it and a butterfly scoop that stands up real tall in front of my picture window. My coffee table has a white wall tire in it with a 56 Fiesta hubcap in it. So there's just stuff all over. There's a door handle. One of the bathrooms has like a carburetor sitting on the toilet tank, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's another guy that's got, I've seen picture, I've not seen, is on Instagram, he's Hothead Lou. Lou, is it Standish or Sandus? Sorry. He's got like flathead intakes as a centerpiece in his kitchen island. And, he's got early Hot Rod magazines framed up on the wall and all that stuff. So I have to keep all that shop. Look around. I think we're going to wrap this up. We want to thank the Von Hot Rod for being a guest on the Strange Motion Way podcast. You see him at a show. You see him on social media. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, everything's at Von Hot Rod. Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, TikTok. It's all at Von Hot Rod. Website is vonhotrod.com. You need to email me, get a hold of me for anything. Ask me any questions. It's Von Hotrod at vonhotrod.com. Real easy to find. Open book.
So hit him up. He's great to have. Yes, if he'll work in your schedule, he would love to come to your car show. Yeah. He will bring stuff to sell. He will pinstripe. I can say he's great with the crowd. He was great with the kids. He's great with everybody. He'll pinstripe stuff, and he is a good draw to bring into your car show. No matter what size it is, people want to meet Von Hot Rod. Even if they don't know who Von Hot Rod is, they'll never forget. Yeah. They'll never forget him. We say this quite a few times, but it's an honor to call you a friend. And I'm going to hug Sandy the next time I see her. I have hugged Sandy since I've seen Vaughn. I hugged her on the power tour. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. You saw at the power tour. And then SEMA the next time we'll see each other, right?
Yep. We'll see you there. Thanks again, Von Hot Rod.
Hey, thank you. And you know what? Love you guys.
I love you too, buddy. It's recorded.
I'm out.
The Strange Motion Way podcast, brought to you by
Royal Purple. Premium synthetic motor oils and high-performance chemicals have been designed to improve performance, provide long-term protection, and give you the confidence to push your vehicle to the limit. Royal Purple Premium Synthetic Motor Oils.
Hey welders, ready to upgrade your gear and save some serious dough in the process? The Miller Build with Blue savings and rebate program has you covered. Find amazing deals and cashback rebates on a wide range of Miller products, from welders to plasma cutters and everything in between, all backed by our 3-year warranty. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Take advantage of the Miller Build with Blue program now. Visit us online or stop by your nearest Miller distributor today to start saving.